couple of quick questions on this royalty issue. Has the decision been made, or is this a proposal to go down by 35% in the royalties in offshore?
No, the decision has not been made.
And is there data to support this change? Is there economic analysis that somehow the current rate is impairing the ability to lease these properties?
There is data. There are recommendations.
From whom?
Yeah, but to be clear, where are we in our energy? The President signed an EO, an executive order, tasking me to look at energy and prepare this.
I'm sorry, I've got a very limited time. Is there data to support a 35% reduction in the offshore drill that indicates that this is somehow an impediment to the execution of leases? Yes or no?
I would say there's an argument.
Argument is not data. In other words, there's been no economic analysis to justify this massive cut. These are resources that belong to the people of the United States. We're taking money out of the pockets of taxpayers.
Well, I agree with you. And so I haven't made the decision because I have not looked at it in detail. There's an argument. There's an argument on the other side, too. And the data is not conclusive, although I have not looked at it in detail. I've just looked at the broad brush.
Has any analysis been made of what the cost to the taxpayers would be of this reduction?
There's no doubt that when they present the recommendations to me, the supporting data will be there.
They being the Royalty,
Royalty Committee, which is it's an advisory board.
Could you supply for the committee the names and affiliations of the members of that committee,
Sure.
please? Thank you.
But I can tell you that I think the energy industry, oil and gas, is doing very well. So at current rates, they're doing very well.
Well, that's the base. You just made my argument.
Well, and I'll show you, but I have not made a decision. But when you're producing as a country 10.6 million barrels a day, first time in 60 years we're exporting liquid natural gas. The oil and gas industry is doing very well.
Fine, and I appreciate that, and I hope you will apply that analysis to this rather significant change. Second question. You made a proposal, or the department's made a proposal on offshore drilling. I hope you will take into consideration the interests of the states involved. In Maine, during a nor'easter last week, we had a turnout at a public meeting. I asked my office, I said, I bet it was 95% opposed. They said, no, you're wrong, Senator, it was 100% opposed. Our legislatures opposed it unanimously. Our delegation is unanimously in opposition to it. And the coastal economy of Maine is enormously dependent upon fisheries, lobsters, and visitors throughout the year. So I hope that will be taken into consideration, because the benefit we see is minimal and the potential cost is enormous.
This is what I did. The last administration took about 94% off. Well, I did a zero-based. So I put everything on for discussion.
And I know that you took Florida off, and I'm suggesting I hope you do the same for Maine.
And by putting everything on, we had a discussion. Now, Florida is different for 3 reasons. One is that every member, both sides of the aisle, wrote me an immediate letter, said we don't want it.
True. That's true of Maine as well, by the way, Mr. Secretary.
Second is your governor. Governor of Maine is for it. And third, Florida has a federal moratorium in place till 2022, which no other state has. A federal moratorium. So had I left Florida off in the beginning, it would have been arbitrary and capricious.
Well, I'm not.
So I put Florida on, but Florida is still in the process.
I'm not arguing that you made the wrong decision in Florida. I'm just arguing for a similar decision in Maine based upon our circumstances. Next, a different area, park fees. Has a significant increase, and I agree with you that we need to look at park fees, and I think they should be looked at, and it should be part of the analysis. My problem is the park fee proposal, the increases are so significant, I wondered if there's been an elasticity analysis to determine whether we could end up losing more money than we gain by increasing, for example, for a person from $12 to $30, a vehicle from $25 to $70. Those are really significant, and there could be 2 results: a reduction in visitation and also a closing off of the parks to the people of America who we want to have access.
I agree, and we have several proposals, and we have not made a decision yet because of the data. But you're right, one of the proposals on the table was you look at the peak season on our top 10 parks, and that's where the significant increase is. Still, the greatest bargain is $80 for a year pass. That's the greatest bargain in America.
No, the greatest bargain used to be the senior pass, which I have, which was $10 for life.
For life, yes. So
the greatest
now it's
bargain.
$80 for life.
Yes.
But part of the value of entrance fees is what we want to do is push more flexibility to the park itself, the superintendent. So we're very aware. We haven't made a decision yet. Clearly, it's on both sides of the issue. We want to make sure that the parks remain of value and accessible for America. That's the promise this country made, and that's the promise that we'll keep. We have not made a decision. I'm aware that a increase hurts some families, and the intention is not to hurt families.
The magnitude of the increase, and of course, motorcycles went from $20 to $50. Now, for me, I'm just kidding, but when you see a motorcycle change, that gets my attention. But I think your answer to summarize on all of these issues that we've been talking about today is data will be collected, data will be made available, and final decisions have not been made, and you will listen to the views of the people of the states involved. Is that correct, Mr. Secretary?
As well as I'll listen to this committee on it. So, you know, about half our parks don't charge. So there's also, we're inconsistent on across the board what we charge. A lot of our parks either don't charge or there is a tier system that they're not adhered to. That's part of the issue. And then what represents the best value? And how do we do it? Some of our parks, when you have Yosemite, which is the experience, the visitor experience, is a parking lot. It is so crowded, Yosemite, Yellowstone, some of our principal parks, we're loved to death. So also we look at how do we manage people, traffic, do we go to a transporter, a public transportation system? Because it is untenable, unsupportable, unsustainable the way we're managing our parks, let alone the backlog. So all these will require
move on.
I don't
discussion.
disagree. I just hope it will be done over time and systematically and data-driven. Thank you.